There's no shortage of activities in New York City, a Broadway musical, a visit to any number of art museums, or if you're looking for something cheaper, take a walk through a rich neighborhood and peer into all the wide-open windows. The Guggenheim pales in comparison to the art you can see through the bay windows in Park Slope brownstones. You might be wondering why a ground-level apartment would leave their windows uncovered for creepy, normal onlookers. Well, in 2000, the New York Times published an article about the rise of sheer curtains because no one really cared about privacy anymore. In 2000, before social media, when the internet looked like this. In the 2 decades since, we've pretty much abolished privacy altogether. Why do I know that Instagram user 15904 has IBS? Or that Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly would drink each other's blood, for ritual purposes only, of course. If you're oversharing on the internet, then you might as well have your windows uncovered. In fact, just invite me into your house. TikTokers invite themselves over all the time. Plus, it may come as no surprise that it's mostly the young upper middle class and rich who leave their windows open. 20% of Americans with income greater than $150,000 are likely to leave their windows uncovered, which is amazing news for anyone dying to see West Elm furniture actually in use. Keeping the curtains drawn used to be an indicator of wealth. An 1880s German housing manual referred to open windows as the epitome of poverty. And a 1985 American paper warned residents that an open window could tempt burglars. I usually leave my curtains open. What are the burglars even going to steal? My mug from my favorite YouTube channel? Go ahead. Plus, I live in Amsterdam and most Dutch people leave their curtains open all the time. In the 16th century, Calvinism was the winner of religious reformation in the Netherlands. It is a branch of Protestantism that values good, honest citizenship, and the number one rule of being an honest citizen is having nothing to hide. What better way to prove that than a gaping view straight into your house? No bodies, no skeletons, just your seasonal decorations and dorky collection of Funko Pops. Plus, everyone in Northern Europe knows the winters are long and dark, so with less than 6 hours of sunlight during the day, we're not about to waste it on closed curtains. And besides, it's a public service. Open windows make for much more engaging hot girl walks. I'd only recommend closing the blinds if you have a particularly nosy neighbor or plan on committing a crime. We've all looked into some pretty gorgeous homes at some time or another, and maybe you even have that one apartment you can't stop thinking about. Perhaps it was the enchanting pre-war fireplace, or a built-in bookshelf housing exclusively first edition Colleen Hoover books. So why not try looking up the cost of that house online? How else will you calculate the number of lifetimes you'd need to work in order to buy it? Or the number of friends you need to live with in a brownstone to turn it into a commune? In most cities in the US, Zillow is the go-to housing site, but because New York's housing market is the wild, wild west, it needs its own location-specific experts. When Zillow came to New York, it was ridiculed for its extremely low-balled property cost estimates. That's right, it dared to list a 2-bed, 1-bath in Chelsea for a mere $2.6 million. Sweetie, that's $3.5 at least. In a city as dense as New York, you get your own real estate platform. Locals know how to use the infamous StreetEasy to look up costs and rentals you absolutely hate to hear. Browsing the site for overpriced units to actually live in is harrowing, of course, but browsing the site to investigate someone else's business is joyous. Looking through someone's window and then looking up the cost of their home is the perfect dessert to follow a gorgeous meal. A perfect pairing. Yin and yang. Wine and cheese. Popcorn and M&Ms. You get the drift. It wasn't always so easy to nonchalantly look at the cost of these places. Before StreetEasy's founding in 2006, rentals and sales were listed on databases only accessible by brokers and agents. If you wanted to be a nosy neighbor, you'd have to out yourself by approaching an industry professional. I prefer to keep my more neurotic tendencies to myself. And if I had to tell someone, a broker would be my last pick. Living in a dense city means there's a ton of innovation around your specific lifestyle and scene. Where else could you look inside hundreds of people's homes in the morning, look up the costs online in the afternoon, and pursue your Broadway dreams in the evening? Nowhere. There's no place like New York. If you'd like to see more I Love the City, the next episode is available right now on Nebula, the creator-owned streaming service. The Nebula office is in New York, but you can't look in our windows, sorry. What you can do is get access to videos from over 200 talented creators, as well as Nebula Originals, highly entertaining content that is exclusive to Nebula. If you haven't already watched The Getaway, I can highly recommend it. Every episode of I Love the City is available on Nebula first, and when you sign up to Nebula, it directly supports the production of this channel, so it's a win-win. You can sign up now for 40% off at go.nebula.tv/ilovethecity or follow the link in the description. So while you can't see in our windows, you will see our next video on Nebula.